With Season 2 just around the corner, I wanted to make a video dedicated to my Season 2 wishlist for Jin. It's pretty well known that Jin is one of the strongest characters in the game. In my opinion, he's top 3, or at worst, like top 5. And he has a lot of moves that are extremely strong, and some that are so strong they're almost unhealthy for the game. So I think it's pretty much well known that what we want to see most for Jin in Season 2 are nerfs. He doesn't really need any kind of buffs. But I think it's important to look at the moves that are causing people trouble and seeing how you can change them to make them more balanced, and also how those changes would kind of affect the character. So first we're going to start with the infamous down 2. This move is 22 frames, as you can see at the bottom left. It's minus 14 on block, which means that a large majority of the cast cannot launch it on block. It's plus 4 on hit, so it gives you a pretty good advantage on normal hit. And obviously on counter hit, well, it launches. Gives you a full combo off of it. And as you can see, this can be pretty devastating. This is far from optimal. But yeah, that's a lot of damage. A few people have suggested different kind of changes for this move. Number 1 is to make it minus 15 on block. This would make the move a lot riskier to throw out, because now pretty much everybody in the cast would be able to launch it. And even though it would heavily sort of restrict how many times you can throw it out and how stupidly you can throw this move out, especially online, I don't really think this would make the move healthier. I think there's other problems with the move that make it really annoying and hard to deal with. But I'll move on to other sort of suggested changes for the move first. The other suggested change is to remove the counter hit launch. Just because it wouldn't launch anymore doesn't mean it wouldn't give sort of a guaranteed follow-up afterwards. So they could end up having you do something like, I don't know, on counter hit you can get a guaranteed while standing 4-4, or even your Kazama combo that's 13 frames. And this kind of change I think I like a little bit more, because it would mean the move still does what it's supposed to do, which is supposed to be this low that high crushes, so it dodges highs, and it's kind of meant to be a tool to stop your opponent from mashing stupidly. And sort of removing the counter hit launch I think still keeps the threat there. It's like the opponent still doesn't want to get hit by it on counter hit, as long as it gives some sort of guaranteed follow-up afterwards. But it also doesn't like punish the opponent extremely heavily for just mashing at the wrong time. There's of course moves that are designed to do that, but I think with other aspects of down 2 and how it works, it's not the best for this move to be that punishing. Another suggested change is to remove the tracking and range on this move. As you can see here, it has pretty good range. And it also it tracks really well. It's pretty much extremely risky to step this move. You need like very specific timing. So if you reduce the tracking and the range, this I also think would help the move a lot, because now it becomes a game of like, hey, you know what? Stepping Jin isn't going to be so risky and punishing for me. It's actually going to be a more viable option. And with sidesteps seemingly getting better in Season 2, I think this would help the move a lot. And then the last change people suggest is to increase the startup of the move to make it more reactable. I don't think this change would do much, even if you couple it with other nerfs. I think the move is fine as it is in terms of speed. Sure, you can make it minus 24 to make it more manageable, but overall, I think the best changes for this move would be to reduce the counter hit reward, reduce the tracking and the range, and if you want, you can make it minus 15. You know, if they want to completely gut this move, which honestly I predict they will, I think it would be fine. I think the move still does a lot of what it's supposed to do. And even if you compare it to other lows Jin has, like down back 4, I think it's still unique enough. You see, down back 4 is not a high crush. It doesn't give a reward, guaranteed reward on counter hit. It has good range. It doesn't have as good tracking. So I think down 2 still very much would be this tool to control players from just mashing, especially highs, obviously. The next move to talk about is a string, actually. It's 2-1-4. the string obviously is 10 frames. 2-1 is a really good control slash poke tool because it's a high mid, and it's only -3 on block. So Jin doesn't really give up his turn just not finishing the string. And then of course he can finish it with a 2-1-4, and as you can see on counter hit, it just knocks down the opponent into a guaranteed follow-up. And it's pretty annoying to get hit by. The 2-1-4, if you block it completely, it's actually going to be -9. I'll show it right here. It's -9, so Jin effectively gives up his turn. And if you, I don't want to set it up, but if you delay the 4 input, which is delayable, to catch those counter hits, the opponent actually has the opportunity to sidestep right and pretty much get a pretty big punish. But you kind of have to be sharp to do that. There's a few changes people suggested for these moves. 2-1, make it more minus, so that it's maybe -5, something like that. This would really reduce Jin's ability to control and poke with this and just almost mindlessly throw this out because the opponent is scared to press a button. But at the same time, if Jin is just doing this, just keep blocking, you know? And if they never finish the string, then yeah, take your gamble on the -3. And if they are finishing the string occasionally, well then just hold block until they do, and then they're -9. It's your turn. Act quickly, and you'll be able to play against Jin a little bit better. Not trying to downplay the string. The string is still very strong. But yeah, making 2-1 more minus would definitely sort of stop Jin from mindlessly controlling the match. He would have to, you know, actually think about doing like electric or 4-4-2 instead of just throwing out 2-1. Or maybe even doing like something like back 2-1, you know, to control. Which is also a really strong safe string. The other one is to remove the counter hit knockdown. This would reduce, obviously, the risk of trying to act on the -3 from the 2-1. And I think this is kind of like my preferred change for this string. I think it just hard knocking down whenever you decide to mash and giving you a guaranteed follow-up. It's just a lot of damage. I mean, just look at how much damage Dragunov is doing if he eats everything. Obviously, he wouldn't eat everything, so it would be more something like that or like this into that. But removing the counter hit knockdown, I think, would be a lot healthier. It also make the move a lot less annoying. Yeah, sure, Jin can still get a pretty good reward off a counter hit, but like a whole ass knockdown is a lot to get from just a very strong, simple string. And then the last change people suggest is to remove the delay of the 4 input so that you can't delay it anymore. You just have to do it instantly. This would kind of make the mind game of 2-1-4 pretty trash, in my opinion. And it would just make it so like Jin never wants to finish the string, unless 2-1 is also nerfed as to how minus it is. I don't think this string is like incredibly OP that it needs to be nerfed in every aspect. But I think, in my opinion, ideally, remove the counter hit knockdown. Yeah, Jin could still get a good reward like that, you know, something like that. You know? And it would still sort of keep the mind game of the 2-1-4 string, you know, just a simple mind game that like Jin players can employ. And then like more advanced Jin players could employ sort of more complicated or different mind games instead of just doing 2-1-4. The last, well, not the last move. The next move to talk about is the Heat Smash, the infamous Heat Smash. It's incredibly strong Heat Smash, deals really good damage. I think only Kings does more damage. The alternate Heat Smash is also incredibly strong because you can just knock your opponent super far. As you can see here, even from here, I can comfortably get Dragunov on the wall and just do a wall combo. But what's I can't really show here, but is really annoying and terrible about this Heat Smash is the tracking. This is more of a universal thing, but so many Heat Smashes or multi-hit Heat Smashes end up tracking ridiculous even when you step certain aspects of it. And because like you can't just armor a whiffed Heat Smash because it'll break the armor, it just makes it really annoying. You have to risk challenging the Heat Smash with like a button with proper speed, you know, depending on how late you're reacting. And that just means that like even when you get that read on the Heat Smash, a lot of times you just kind of have to end up blocking, waiting for it to end so that no BS happens and you get hit. So that's more of a universal thing, but this heat smash definitely needs to have reduced tracking on its multiple hits. The first hit is pretty linear. I've seen a lot of people step it, but they oftentimes get hit by the second one or the third one. And also, another change that I think would be good is if I show you here my heat smash, my alternate one at the wall, I'm plus 21 in this scenario. So that's a pretty big advantage. And couple that with the fact that if the opponent was already at the wall, I could already do like some chip damage like this and then alternate heat smash. They lost a lot of health for blocking. Now, thankfully, Namco has already announced that they're going to reduce chip damage. So that should help with that kind of situation. But I still think you should reduce the plus frames on this heat smash. Plus 21 is a lot. Like, you can just give him some sort of advantage so it's not as oppressive, but still is a good option to use against the wall. And then you could also even reduce the knockback distance slightly. But there's a lot of other heat smashes as well that have crazy knockback distances like Fangs or Nina's. So for this heat smash, I think universal changes would be better. But in the end, it should be nerfed. This heat smash needs to be looked at and balanced accordingly. The next move I wanted to talk about is also frequently used in the wall. And that's going to be his flying kick, which, let me turn on the blocking. Yeah, standing block will work. It's obviously plus 15 when used against the wall. So it's very similar to the alternate heat smash. Of course, it's a high, but it comes out relatively quickly. You can't really interrupt this, especially mid pressure. Your only chance of beating this move is like getting lucky with a duck. But then Jin can also incorporate the dive kick, which is a mid, and it will hard knock down and give him a guaranteed follow-up on hit. And it's obviously plus 2. So right here, Jins will frequently do a fast move. Make sure you're not pressing anything. These moves have become really annoying because they can give Jin pretty mindless pressure, especially in heat. You can just spam these moves, alternate them, and incorporate like other pressure tools that you have. Maybe go for a hell sweep, stuff like that. And we saw it in Tekken World Tour. Even the best players struggled to deal with it. And I think the problem with it is that it's pressure that is too easy to do. You just go into heat, incorporate those two tools into your pressure at the wall, and now your opponent is in a really bad spot. But I think the chip damage reduction will heavily help these moves be more balanced. I think if you do want to balance them a little more, maybe make the startup on the flying kick a little bit longer, kind of like the dive kick, so that you can be more comfortable in jabbing out and trying to interrupt it. But I think hopefully the heat changes in Season 2 will help balance these moves a lot, and they don't really need specifically to be looked into. And aside from that, the last thing to talk about is actually something that we saw in the trailer. I'll show a clip. But Jin's full crouch down forward 4 currently is a pretty slow and cheesy move. It's pretty reactable because you have to go into full crouch first. So a lot of decent players block it. And currently it gives a knockdown with a guaranteed follow-up. You have to hit a CD1, which I'm not hitting right now. But whatever. The point is that, as we saw in the trailer, this move is going to be buffed in its attack frames. It's going to be faster, and on top of that, you're going to be able to transition into your Zen stance, which might give you like a little bit of an extra mix-up there. So it seems in general, the move is getting buffed. And that's pretty good because the move is trash, but that also makes me feel like down 2 is going to be completely gutted. And another reason why this is going to be a pretty good buff is because, as we all know, in the trailer we also saw that heat dashes and heat engagers are going to be able to go into full crouch immediately. You're not going to have to waste frames. So it gives Jin something to do off of full crouch. Not that he really wants to be in full crouch all the time like other characters. But it also kind of makes us think, how is Jin going to play in Tekken 8 onwards, How is he going to tackle matches with his moveset? As we've seen, Jin has changed a lot from Tekken 7. I didn't play Tekken 7, so I can't give an in-depth talk about how Jin played. But it seems like he became like a more well-rounded, more easier to execute character. And we've seen that pretty well in Tekken 8. You know, he has big moves that control the screen. And he also has like things like down 2. He has good lows. He has good mix-up. Down forward 4, down back 4. Back 2 1's a good poke. Forward 3 is a great launcher. He's just a really strong character, you know? And I think they want to keep the same identity for Tekken 8, which is why I think nerfing down 2, 2-1-4, and the Heat Smash aren't really going to change his playstyle too much. He's still going to be the same Jin we saw in Season 2. He's just going to be a bit healthier to play against, and I think that's an important aspect. Sometimes characters are really strong, and sometimes characters are really unhealthy. I think Yoshi is extremely unhealthy, and I think Jin's certain aspect of him are unhealthy, but overall I think the character design in Tekken 8 is pretty good. So just tweak some stuff, nerf some stuff, and I think Jin will be in an excellent spot. Regardless though, if you made it this far into the video, please let me know your thoughts on Jin in Season 1 and in Season 2. I know a lot of people despise him. I don't think he's that bad of a character to play against, but then again, when I play against Jin, I'm playing as Jin, and the Jin mirror is extremely fun. But I can see why other characters may have a lot of trouble against him and feel like, you know, this character's just BS. Regardless, please make sure to leave a like. It helps a lot. And hope you have a good day. Peace.